Warren, you just said that you'd rather have a Jeet running risk assessment at the insurance operations than any other 1,000 insurance adjusters in the world. So I'd like to follow up with a question that came in from Mark Blackley in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He said, Warren, for years you have spoken about the incredible impact Ajit has had on Berkshire. You've often joked, if you and Ajit are in a sinking boat and we can only save one of you, swim to Ajit. While we often discuss plans for the next CEO of Berkshire, little is mentioned on who will one day replace Ajit. How should we think about the future of the Berkshire insurance operations, given how challenging it may be to find another Ajit? And I'd like to hear Ajit's thoughts on this as well.
Well, I would say we won't find another Ajit, but fortunately he's a good bit younger than I am, so I hope you have to worry a little bit about me first before you start worrying about Ajit. We won't find another Ajit, but we have an operation that he has created, and that at least part of it is, there are certain parts of it that are almost impossible for competitors to imitate. And if I was in their shoes, I wouldn't try and imitate them. And so we've institutionalized some of our advantages, but Ajit is, well, his presence allowed us to do it, and he did it. But now we've created a structure that didn't exist when he came in 1986. Nothing close to it existed with us or with anybody else. And insurance is the most important business at Berkshire. Marketable securities are important, but they're not in the class exactly as our insurance business. And Ajit, we won't have the same business if Ajit isn't running it, but we'll have a very good business. And again, that's thanks to Ajit. You know, I'd been in the business when he came in 1986. You know, I first went to GEICO in 1950. We first bought National Indemnity in 1957. And it was something that we'd made quite a bit of money in the stocks of insurance companies. But we needed an Ajit. Unfortunately, he came into the office on a Saturday, and he was tired of working at something where he really didn't. It just didn't challenge his intellect. And I said, well, we got a lot of challenges, so you know, nobody's perfect. So you've never seen an insurance policy or owned an insurance stock, but here are the keys, and that's worked out very well.
Thank you very much, Warren. Thank you very much, everyone. But the fact of the matter is, nobody is irreplaceable, and we have Tim Cook here in the audience, I believe, who has proved that and has set an example for a lot of people who follow.
That's a great observation.
Now, having said that, I will also add that our board is conscious of the succession issue, not only at Warren's level, but also at my level. And every year, they have me sitting in front of them, answering questions and having me share my ideas with them in terms of what would happen to the operations if I get hit by a truck. We go through the various operations we have. I review with them a short list of people I think ought to be candidates for replacing me. And in addition to that, I go a step further and identify a particular individual as the person I would hand over the keys to if something were to happen to me. Obviously, that could be subject to change, but we take this issue fairly seriously. And I think at the end of the day, as Tim Cook has proved to us, it'll be the biggest non-issue of the day. The Earth will still keep revolving around the axis.
Okay, well, we know what we know what we will do. We know it's a good answer, but we know it isn't we won't have another Ajit.
Mr. Buffett and Mr. Munger, thank you for having us this weekend. My name is Bo Clayton, and I'm from Durham, North Carolina. One of the reasons that we are all here is that you're great storytellers, and we carry those stories back home with us. Can you please share a couple stories that maybe we haven't heard before about Mr. Abel and Mr. Jain that capture their character and their caliber as leaders?
Well, I'll start out with the G. He walked into the office in 1986, and I'd gotten the bright idea of going into the reinsurance business, I think in maybe 1969. So I'd stumbled along for 17 years, and I had a wonderful guy that ran it. He also liked certain brokers, and I mean, he was running it the traditional way, the top quality and everything else. But he fell into he didn't try and change the system. He tried to improve the system, and to some degree. And we went nowhere. 17 years wandering around in the wilderness, and I thought I knew we could have something good. And then Ajit came in on a Saturday, and Mike Goldberg had steered him in, I think, and Mike deserves to be enshrined in perpetuity for that act. And I talked with him a while. I think maybe I was opening the mail on Saturday while I talked with him, and he had absolutely zero experience with insurance, but he'd actually seen a good bit of how corporate America operated, because he'd been in management consulting. And after talking with him, I knew I'd struck gold, and so I hired him and gave him the backing of some money, and we had a very good period in the market, almost right away for him to act. And Ajit, if I had the top pick of 10 insurance managers in the world, I could take all 10, and they wouldn't. You can't replace Ajit. And we still enjoy talking. We don't talk as frequently as we used to, but we used to talk about every day. But he's one of a kind, and if they're going to stick around long enough, you only need one of a kind.
But when I tell you about the value that Ajit has added to Berkshire, believe me, if anything, I've understated it. Charlie?
Well, I agree with you, and I've got nothing to add.
Well,